Hi everyone, a very good evening and a warm welcome to all of you. It's 4 o'clock and we are back with yet again, one more live session with us. Uh, our chat today is very special in terms of we are going to learn about why is it so important to develop, logical reasoning and creativity in your kids at a very small age. So we have Sri Devi Potluri ma'am with us today. Ma'am, welcome to the live session with Baby Chakra.
Thank
Before we
you.
dive into the questions, let me just give the audience a very quick background about you. So Sri Devi ma'am is an academic director at Camp K12. She has 26 years of experience in teaching and leading schools. So she has held various leadership positions as principal and academic director at various renowned schools, I would say. A fellow of the International Leaders in Education program. She is also an IBDP facilitator and CIE teacher. She has been a master trainer with Khan Academy and has authored 24 English textbooks. Ma'am, 24 English textbooks. Like, did I say it correctly?
Yes, you did.
Wow, that's an impressive career journey that you have had so far. So, ma'am, as I said, we want to discuss about why is it so important to develop creativity and logical reasoning, in our child at a very young age. So, just this morning, I was reading an amazing fact that the first 1,000 days of a baby are the most crucial because it's believed that 90% of brain development happens during that age. So tell us, why is it so important, to think about the logical reasoning development or the creativity of the kid at such a tender age?
Yes, Apurva, I think that's a very nice question to start off with.
Thank
The
you.
first 1,000 days. So that is the first 3 years of the child's life. And as we know, our own mythology teaches us that right from the womb, the child is a learner. If you look at Abhimanyu in Mahabharata, when he was in his mother's womb itself, he had been listening to how the battle would be fought and all that. And that is how he had learned half of it. And he couldn't learn the other half because it wasn't discussed. So children are at that age, the grasping is very high. And whatever they learn for a lifetime, the base is formed in the first 1,000 days. And also, if you look at them physically, also the motor development of the bones and everything takes place in the first 3 years of their life. The merging of the bones, the fusing of the bones, all these happens in the first few years. So it's imperative for parents to understand this, that for us as people, only when you see the output you understand that there is an input happening. For example, when a child speaks, repeats what you say, then you think that the child is speaking. But what we don't understand is the input happens right from the womb. The child is taking in everything. The output happens at a later stage. And so it is very important for us to see what is the input that we are giving to the children. And I mean, as small children or as mothers, and our mothers used to tell us we wouldn't open our eyes till the third day or the fifth day. Today, the baby is born and you see the baby blinking at you, smiling at you. So you can see how fast progression is happening in the child's growth. Similarly, the learning cycle also goes very fast. And that is where parents have to be alert. Parents have to know how to mold. We always call these children as raw mud, who have to be molded into the right containers, who have to be made into the right, put in the right way. And that is where, as parents and as people of the society, it's important for us to do the right thing by the child.
That's very interesting example that you shared about Abhimanyu. Like, yeah, I mean, we have heard about these stories all our lives. So coming back to the discussion, one very thoughtful insight you shared with me a couple of hours ago, and that was, what is this nine intelligence? I am only aware of one.
Yes, Apurva. These 9 intelligences are Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences. Okay, and especially in the Indian context, it is very, very useful to us because in India, those who do engineering or those who do medicine are supposed to be the most intelligent, and all the rest are treated as non-achievers, people who don't aspire. And I myself am a big example of this because in my house, my parents were engineers. I was the only black sheep, if you would call it, who opted for a career other than engineering and went into English literature. But at that time, I didn't know that my intelligence was not logical, mathematical, it was verbal and linguistic. Today, as a teacher and as a school leader, when I have worked a lot with Gardner's multiple intelligences theory, what Mr. Howard Gardner says is 8 theories he has given and one has been added now. So these intelligences are logical, mathematical. That is people who use logic and who are very mathematical. Another kind is verbal linguistic. So you're able to speak well, you're able to write well, you're able to take in languages very fast. And the third is musical, where people learn and understand through music very easily, and their skill itself, the intelligence is musical, like Lata Mangeshkar, if you look at A.R. Rahman. And another one is spatial. Spatial is about the place and knowing the directions, geographically being very good. Then another one is interpersonal. Interpersonal is where you understand people. Like you could be a psychologist, you understand people, you're able to get along well with people. You're a very sociable person. Like we say extrovert. And another is intrapersonal, where you go into yourself, like a philosopher. We call such people introverts. They look into themselves and they're always thinking about what am I, how am I doing, things like that. And then we have kinesthetic. Kinesthetic means movement, like dancers, artists. So these 9 intelligences, these are 8, and now the new one, existentialist, has been added. Existentialist is about how we are in relation to the universe. A small atom, a minute atom we are when you look at the whole universe. So that questions are answered. Now, when you look at this, today, it is not only logical that is intelligent. Any one of these that we have makes us intelligent. And so having these skills, honing them, strengthening them, and utilizing it to success or to become successful is very, very important. Also, in the 21st century, what happens is we need to be able to bring all these intelligences together into us and maybe be very strong in one or two, but also have a knowledge of all the others. And as I speak about this, I come into the 21st century skills. So when we are talking about intelligences, when we are talking about how good are we at what we do, we also look at what does the 21st century require. Now, if you look at all of us today, at least as parents, none of us were born in the 21st century. None of us. We all were born in the previous century, but all our children belong to this century. And as I told you a little while ago, like the progress is so fast with these children. If you look at yourself, or if I look at myself and my children who are born in this century, there's a huge gap in our thought processes, in our even imbibing, in our learning. There's a huge difference. And so the 21st century is about 4 C's. We call it the 4 C's. Critical thinking, collaboration, communication, and with all this comes the creation. So we need these 4 C's in the 21st century for a child to have a holistic development. And the multiple intelligences and the 21st century skills together will give a wholesome growth to the child.
That's so amazingly put. So, this brings me to my second question, my next question, which is, parents these days, I mean, not only these days, I mean, even when I was a kid and, a couple of years ago, my parents could only think of the fact that you need to get marks, excel academically, and that's about it. And nobody, talked about the holistic growth as a child that any child needs to have. So, where do you think the parents are making this mistake? Like, why are we not able to think beyond academics, and how can we actually, like ensure that the kids these days have that holistic development that we are talking about right now?
Yes, I think as parents, all of us want only the marks.
Yes.
And in India especially, we look at how much marks did you get. And if you see any household, when you meet people also, the first question you ask is, how are your children studying? How much marks does he get? Or when you meet a small child, a very small child, the first question you ask is, how much marks did you get in your exam? But marks do not matter as much. The first thing we have to understand, yes, academics is important, knowledge is important, but marks are just a byproduct. And as you learn, and the more you learn, as you have this inquisitiveness to learn, as you get this passion to know more about things, the marks will anyway follow. So what we have to understand is academics, yes, is a byproduct and it's one part, but it's only 1/3 of what we want in life. If our child has to be successful and happy, and happiness is the most important thing that as parents, I think we need to think of our children, is the other life skills that we need. The one is emotional quotient. How strong are you emotionally? How are you able to meet people? How are you able to network with people? How are you able to accept challenges and overcome them? How are you able to negate the negative things that happen in your life? Being able to overcome obstacles. Here, I would like to take Steve Jobs' example. I mean, he is a man I really, really enjoy. Yes, one, because Apple, iPhone, everything. More than that, like if you look at him, such a genius of the modern age, and he went on to set up Apple, took it up to such great heights. And unfortunately, he was also thrown out of Apple by his colleagues and his peers. If it was any other person, even if it was me, I would have been mopping, crying, and thinking that my life has ended. I set up that company. I worked so hard. My life is over. He didn't do that. He went on and set up Pixar again. And such a beautiful thing, not some mediocre thing that he set up, such a great thing. And he went up to such heights once again that Apple had to take him back. That is where he changed his adversity into strength, into something that again brought him success. I think for parents, making the child understand that there are issues in life, but being able to overcome them, and sometimes not being able to overcome them also doesn't matter. Life goes on. It doesn't end at one place. It goes on. I think that, and seeing that our children are happy and understanding the value of learning and not the value of marks is very important.
That's a very beautiful insight that you shared. I really hope, I mean, this feels good coming from a teacher, that a teacher is actually telling me that, okay, marks are important, but it's the holistic development. I mean, I wish we had teachers like you, when I was in school. So
You know why I became a teacher? That's why. Because for me, I grew up with marks being important, but I realize it isn't. It is the learning and it is the enjoyment of learning that you have that will really give you so much knowledge.
And ma'am, this is where I actually want to talk to the audience that please, we do understand that marks are important, and but academics, yes, but more or less it's more about how much knowledge your child is eventually gaining. And we have ma'am over here today to help us understand that. So ma'am, coming back to the discussion, is you mentioned about 21st century skills. Now, what should be our holistic approach, to gain those kind of skills? And again, thinking about the fact that we are talking about literally toddlers here, who it's like it's a different ball game altogether to explain things to them in a very playful manner.
True. That's what, again, we think, Apurva, that it's difficult to explain to the children. But if you look at these new children with a cell phone, I mean, the 7-month-old, 8-month-old, even I think in the WhatsApp, this was circulating. When you give them a magazine with a picture also, they're trying to flip through. Who taught them? Who taught them how to swipe on a smartphone? They have seen and they have learned and they're doing it. So it is not difficult for us to teach them, because teaching is not what we have to do. We have to show to them. And children learn by doing. And so when I'm talking about the critical thinking skills, when I'm talking about the collaboration, that a parent and a child can collaborate. For example, a child has to do some project, let's say. If the parent and the child work together and the parent is doing and showing the child immediately understands, okay, this is how I loop it in. This is how I kind of bring it together or stick it. So that is how collaboration will help the child understand. And critical thinking, for example, when you look at small children, you give them some knots, usually to develop motor skills. That is what we do. We put knots and give them so that as they open, the hands, the bones and all start strengthening. Who teaches them how to open a knot? You just leave them with that and they keep on playing with it and they open it up. So when we talk about children learning, so as I was saying, it's very important for these children to be exposed to all that is there and for them to choose and pick what they would like. It's not that everyone should like the same thing, but as parents, we need to expose them to what are the things available, what are the things that the child can do once, twice, or thrice, and then finally decide that, okay, these are not what I like, this is what I would like to do. But that exposure is very, very important.
Understood. So, now I'm thinking that, coding being such a hot topic right now. I mean, I have a niece, she is 3, and I see her very inquisitive in nature, and playing with the gadgets and asking all sort of questions that, how did we make this and all. So, and this keeps bringing us back to the topic that, should we or should we not send her to a coding classes at at an age like this. So, what are your views on this? Like, how do we inculcate coding in kids, but at the same time keeping in mind that they are 3, or like, let's say 3, and that age category is what I'm talking about.
Yes. So at Camp K12, we have so many things, so many offerings. Like, as you said, coding is one, we have art and we have English, of which I am responsible for making the whole thing. So you expose the child. And when we, at Camp K12, when we are making the course for these children, we are aware of all that I'm talking about till now. What is holistic learning? How does the child learn? And how will the child enjoy doing it without feeling that it is a burden? And especially if you just go into one of the Camp K12 classes, you won't think that the children are learning. You're thinking, my God, what are they enjoying so much? But without knowing, they're imbibing this, it is getting into them. So expose these children to coding, put them up. Camp K12 has a lot of master classes happening. So you can put them on one master class where they try it out, they do it. And if they enjoy it, you can definitely enroll them. But if they don't enjoy it, then look at what is the other thing. But again, let me assure you, as I am doing the content and all for Camp K12, they cannot not enjoy. It is such a beautiful thing. And so if your niece likes to code, go ahead and expose her to the coding. And the curriculum will be designed according to her age. It is age appropriate. It is how the skills they have to learn. Everything is taken care of because all of us have ample experience in understanding the child's psyche and the psychology. And that is how we have designed the courses.
Very, very interesting to know that. Okay, so we have a couple of questions from the community moms, and one question says, "Hi, ma'am, I want my child to speak confidently in public. What should I do?" I think this is a question that most of the moms have.
Yes, and it is very, very important. Public speaking is one of the most important skills because, see, knowledge-wise, in India especially, we have a lot of knowledge. Yep. Because we give a lot of emphasis on studying and learning. So we have a lot of knowledge. But when it comes to putting it across and showcasing to the world the knowledge that we have, our language and our confidence is what brings us back.
Sorry, ma'am, I think it's a network.
Again, as I was telling you,
Sorry, ma'am, we lost you for a couple of seconds because of
I'm
internet.
very sorry. I'm very
No
sorry.
worries.
Okay.
No worries.
So, as I was saying, see, public speaking is very, very important.
Yeah.
In India, we have knowledge, but we are not able to showcase our knowledge because we lack the language skills and we also lack the confidence to speak in public.
True.
So it's important that we expose our children to such courses. Again, I would like to come back to Camp K12 because I'm the one who's been designing the course. My whole team, we are working with the public speaking and art of communication, where we teach them how they have to stand, how do they look people in the eye as they speak, how does the posture make people know that you're confident about what you're talking, what are the voice modulations you need to use. And we give practice exercises at home where children do a lot of practice and they're able to speak. And you see a marked improvement in that. So public speaking is practice, practice, and practice. But for you to practice, you first have to know what is the right way.
So I hope that answers the question that the mom has. We have a couple of more questions. So Bhavna says, what is the right age for my child to learn art and what are its benefits?
There is no right age for art. Even as a toddler, if you dip the child's fingers in paint and put it on paper, the child thoroughly enjoys the colors that the child sees.
Very true.
So art doesn't mean you're a Picasso or you're a Michelangelo. You know, art is an inward expression of your thoughts and feelings, which you put on paper or you put on a canvas. So the child can at any stage, give the child crayons, give the child some color pencils, or give the child anything, the child will start doing it. Like in pre-primary schools, in kindergarten schools, you see, we just give them a lady's finger. We cut the lady's finger, they dip it in the color, and then they color the thing. Or they just put the color on the whole hand and then they put their palm. You know, so there is no age for art. And what are the benefits of art? I cannot explain. It is humongous. Now, if you look at the modern age, especially today, India has realized. In fact, if you see till 3-4 years back, STEM education was very important all over the world. STEM being science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. In the past 2-3 years, we have changed that into STEAM. That is science, technology, engineering, art, and math. Okay? Because without art, there is no creativity. Unless you bring art into the subjects, you cannot create, you cannot think. The West has been doing this. India has been far behind because we do not consider art as an important aspect. Today, CBSE from last year has made it mandatory that every subject should integrate art into its teaching. So for example, as an English teacher, I use a lot of art. When I'm teaching class 11, let's say, I do nail art and I ask the children to write an essay on the nail art that they have done. Very simple. We make a rangoli in class and we tell the children, describe the process of making a rangoli. You know, art integration. So there is no age, and art, if you look at the brain, we have the left brain and the right brain. One is logical, one is artistic. Yes. Now, when you use both equally, then you are the most intelligent person because 2 is always better than 1. Okay, so art will really help you.
That's so amazingly put. And so I can go back to my mom and say I have not been wasting my time if I'm doing some sort of, mandala art all my time.
You're using it much more than anyone else.
So there's one more question, and that says, how will learning coding at an early age help the kids?
Okay, so when I was talking about the 21st century skills, remember, I said critical thinking skills. These are one of the most important of the 21st century skills. Each one is important, but critical thinking is where you think about, if I do this, what will happen? What is the next stage that can happen? And coding helps you with that beautifully. Now in coding, without knowing it, the children are doing mathematics. Okay, they're using the x-axis, they're using the y-axis. Child doesn't know. It's just that the x-axis and the y-axis are there, and they move their things from x to y, up and down, right and left. And then they have made one superhero who's flying, or they have made one game, or they have even made one website. They don't realize it at all. But they are using all the, if I do this, what could go wrong? If I don't do this, what could happen? So by trial and error, they'll be using it, and the thought process is going very fast with what is happening, what is not happening. And that is where they will learn that critical thinking skills and logical and mathematical skills, definitely.
Understood. So, ma'am, you were like, I just want to go back to the point that you were talking about the offerings that Camp K12 Masterclass has. If you could just tell us a bit more about it, and how people can enroll. So, that way people would know how to approach your brand and then eventually take it ahead from there.
Yes, I'll just show you a PPT.
Okay,
as
sure.
to what all we do. And I think that would really help. So I'm presenting that. So if you look at Camp K12, our tagline itself is bringing 21st century skills for kids. That is where our heart lies, and that is where we really are passionate about seeing to it that our children learn the 21st century skills. So here you see in the 21st century skill, as I was saying, it is critical thinking skills, communication, and collaboration and creativity. So if you look at Anshul Bhagi, he is our founder. He started coding at grade 8, and then he studied at MIT and went on to Harvard, and he set up the coding platform, everything he has practiced. He has seen how good and how nicely it works, and that is how he brought it on to the children. So the critical thinking skills come through coding, and that is what Camp K12 does. And I, as the person who's looking after the English vertical, look at communication, another very, very important 21st century skill. So in English, we work a lot with communication, both verbal and written. So we talk to children about the various ways they can write autobiographies, and they can do things, and they can speak, as I told you already. And Mr. Naresh deals with the art part, as I said, creativity. So another very important thing is for us to bring that creativity, bring that art into the children's life. And that is how the three of us deal with all the aspects. Now, if you look at this, it's a global online school where we bring the 21st century skills for kids in the age group of 6 to 15. And as I said, not only Anshul, there are so many others in the team who are from MIT, who are from IITs and IIMs. So they know what is needed for the child to really excel. And here we are not talking about sending them to IIT or sending them anywhere. We are talking about how to improve their critical thinking skills and their communication skills. So we are the pioneers of coding, English, and art classes, as I told you. Online English, yes, there are some creative writing courses, there are some other courses, but bringing communication, both verbal and written, hasn't been happening at all. And that is how we thought that we should bring this so that children have the maximum benefit, and the art classes. And this has been happening since 2010. The coding has been happening since 2010. And our classes are 1:4, 1:5, or maximum. In English, we take 1:6 because peer learning has to happen. The children have to be able to speak to each other and get feedback from each other. And so if you want to know more, this is our website, campk12.com, www.campk12.com. That is where you would learn so much. And so again, as I said, in the public speaking and creative writing, we are doing autobiography. Children are going to host a panel discussion like you and I are doing. They will have 4 or 5 people whom they will be cross-questioning, asking leading questions and taking them forward. And also, they will be making a vlog, a video piece on something that they believe in, and they're going to start their own YouTube channel and put it up. So every class, we see that there is a project, like not at the culmination, every class, every level, every class will have one project that happens. And we see that children in the lower age group learn at least 500 words. Higher age group children can learn 700 words and more. we expose them to that much vocabulary and we make them use it in the class, and we teach them the application of the right grammatical concepts in English. And then when it comes to learning art, one parent had also asked us this question. So this is an answer to that parent. It improves creativity by 150%. That is so amazing. And then it boosts emotional intelligence. Remember, I was telling you emotional intelligence is very, very important. So when you're creative, what happens is all the angst, all the anger and suppressed feelings come out in the form of your art, and you are a much better person because you've given an outlet to all that you had. Then memory retention becomes 2 times more, and it develops lateral thinking. Lateral thinking is, again, a very big topic by Edward de Bono. So it gives us thoughts which can lead on to more thoughts and become more creative. And it enhances problem-solving skills. So this is how art helps us. So our coding courses are for ages 6 to 18. And in coding, we also give demo classes. But more than anything, we have our master classes. And these master classes are held every day between 4 to 7. Every day we have 3 master classes happening. And I am one of the teachers who does the master classes for English. And we have for art, we have for coding, we have various master classes happening every day. So if parents are interested, they can enroll their kids. I think the links have been given to the parents. They can enroll for the master classes and get a taste of what we actually do. So why Camp K12 teachers? Because we do not take anyone who is not super, super passionate about working. For us, being a teacher and being passionate about teaching children is the most important thing. And then we give our teachers rigorous 2-month training and certification. And also, we see that when the batches are made, the teachers, we kind of mix and match the teacher and the child and see, will this teacher mentality fit that batch? If not, let us not put that teacher, let us give someone else. Suppose the batch has many outspoken children. Then we need a teacher who can lead them forward into higher things. If the batch is very quiet, we need teachers who can softly lead them on and bring them to utilize their potential. And so all these are things that we take care a lot. The permutations and combinations that go on behind the scene are unbelievable.
I'm sure.
So these are the master classes that we had in March, and in April they're going on. So if you see, we had everything, quizzing and everything that was happening. So if parents are interested, they can do that. And why Camp K12 community? We have these where we have a Camp K12 TV where the children who really do well can showcase their talent, and all of us watch that. So they get that opportunity. So not only is the child getting an opportunity, but it is so much motivation for the others also to be able and aspire to reach that level and expose themselves to so much. And being on that TV makes you prepare for, giving your best. And that is how you learn so much in the process again. So I think
this is thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing it. This is very interesting. And what I feel is so at every stage there is interaction happening, and I think that is the most important thing. Sorry, we have one more question from Kavita, and she says, my child is not that great in maths. Will he be able to learn coding?
Yes. See, coding by itself will not take math and teach. But math is there in coding, the child without realizing. As I was telling you, the x-axis, y-axis, all these, the child doesn't know that it is math or doesn't have to know. He will be going and doing it. And as he does, his mathematical and logical thinking will start working. And he looks at all those formulas where if I put this, this will happen. And that eureka in school he has to use. So by virtue of having success in creating something there, his appetite for mathematics gets whetted and he gets into that, ease of doing mathematics.
Understood. So, Sridevi ma'am, thank you so much, for sharing these amazing insights. I personally learned a lot, and I'm sorry, I'm over 18, so I cannot enroll myself for these classes. but they look so interesting, and I'm sure they will benefit the community moms to a great extent. Thank you so much for doing this chat session with us. And for the community moms, we have put the links, to their offerings on the chat box. You can simply check them out, and you can reach out to the Sri Devi ma'am. She's there on the app. We have some more people from the brand, and you can just reach out to them. That's all for today. We'll come back with another session, and take care till then. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Apurva. I enjoyed being with you. Have a good day. Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.